So Michelle, once our squab has cooled down, can you show our viewers how you actually debone it?
Yes. Well, I usually like to start with the breast because it's the easiest part.
Yes.
It just peels off.
It peels
Because
off.
it's been braised for such a long time.
Yes.
It comes off.
Lovely.
You have to be careful. You remove all the skin.
Yes.
You don't want that skin, fatty texture in your ravioli.
Lovely.
You just
Of course, the most
Right,
amount
sure.
of meat on a squab is in the breast.
Yes.
So, and you can probably see that quite easily.
and you remove the other breast.
Lovely.
And what you have to be careful of,
Yes.
especially with these smaller birds, their
Yes.
bones. They're really tiny bones.
So is there a way that you sort of joint them or it just comes off?
It will just break apart.
Literally.
If you have a look here, it just falls apart.
Look at that. Absolutely. Beautiful.
Easy.
What about the Pope's nose? That's not going in, I hope.
Well, no. I know a lot of people that just pick that off and just
And eat it. Absolutely.
So remove all that skin. You don't want that in there.
Do you know there's a very famous recipe in Italy where they call it insalmi. So when they are braising a lot of, well, these birds can be pheasants, can be guinea fowls, they actually use the skin and put it back into the sauce and mince it. They call that insalmi. It's a very, very special way of working with game birds, both in Italy and in France. Of course, the French love to confit. It's kind of big also. Morocco, Egypt. Pigeons take pretty much pride of place in some of their cuisines there too. Now, of course, after that tedious process of removing all the bones, and at home, just remember that you really must remove all those very fine bones. You're left with a beautiful mixture like this, and this is going to be the basis of our wonderful 3 dishes: the fried raviolo, the agnolotto, and of course the risotto. Right, now Scotto, to make this first dish, of course, you have prepared a quantity of pasta dough. Now tell me what's in it.
Well, your basic pasta dough is eggs, flour, and semolina, and a little bit of olive oil and some salt.
All right.
Just to give it just a nice flavour.
So you make it, then you let it rest.
Make it, you mix it all together. Get your dry ingredients mixed in through thoroughly first. Then you put your wet ingredients.
Yes.
Knead it for a while so it all becomes nice and smooth and silky, and then you wrap it up and let it rest for half an hour or something, so all the gluten
Starts working its way through.
Starts to relax.
All right. So how many times have you run this through the machine? I want you to tell me everything.
I've run this through the machine from
The highest setting.
from the highest setting down to about, which is number 10, down to about number 7 3 times.
Yes.
You fold it over once you do that, run it through again, and then run it all the way down to about 0.5 millimetre, sort of thick.
All right.
Flouring all the time so it doesn't get stuck to the pins.
All right. Well, off you go.
And so I'm on my last turn now.
All right.
You just put it. The end that goes in first is the end that comes out, and vice versa.
Okay.
And then you just try and keep it nice and smooth in there so you don't get any wrinkles or any holes. Run it nice and evenly.
Okay. So of course you've got just enough dough so that we can
Make probably 2 trays.
Two
but
trays.
today I would probably just be showing you how to make 1 tray because it's the same process and fairly quite easily.
all right. Beautiful too.
Just keep it out. Just dust it with a bit of flour so it doesn't stick when you fold it over.
All right.
And yeah, there you are. So you just grab your tray.
Yes.
We're quite lucky and fortunate we've got a ravioli tray. Makes life a lot easier. Dust it with a bit of flour on the bottom so they don't stick when you put them in.
Okay.
And that should be enough. And then you can just lay your pasta down on top.
The
Push them in a
hands of
bit.
experience, I say that.
That's right. Just push them in a bit so they don't, so you can actually fill them up all the way. And then you just get your mix and fill each one up. Not too much because if you put them in, they'll burst.
And do you have to work it quickly so that the pasta, because then you when you fold it over, or does it not matter?
It doesn't matter too much. Like you should have enough time to get it all out. But the quicker you work, like obviously if you're in a hot area, the pasta will dry out a lot quicker.
Yes.
But what we're sort of doing is down the lines of each one, you just dab a little bit of water so it sticks and stays a little bit moist. But you do also try and work with a moist sort of filling as well.
Well, I can see that you haven't really broken that down. You've still got quite chunky pieces of meat.
Yeah, try and keep like just for a bit of texture. Otherwise, it's just sort of you're biting into like mush, really. Like you want a bit of texture. You want to feel nice Italian word. You want to feel the texture of the flesh, I'd say. Like otherwise, you don't know what you're eating, really.
Absolutely. How extravagant.
Yeah.
I wonder whether the Italian mamas at home have been making a ravioli for an entree with pigeon.
No, yeah, quite a nice sort of lovely.
Lovely. Beautiful. And away you go.
Yeah.
So he's working it through nice and quick. And of course, in a restaurant situation, he works a lot quicker because time is money, right?
Yeah, sometimes.
Let's go, Scotto.
Sorry, I'll work a bit quicker.
Save the last dance for me.
That's right. So now I've filled them all up, so I'll just dab them with a bit of water on the sides, just so that, cause you can see they're already starting to dry out just a little bit on the outside.
Absolutely, I can see that.
So just give it
Bene.
a little bit of water. And then fold the pasta over the top. Try and get it just to the edge so you can maximise the amount of pasta you use. Chuck a bit of flour in there so it doesn't stick to the rolling pin. And then you just sort of roll
This
along, and as you can
is
see,
a
it's
restaurant
cutting it off.
parlay. Chuck.
Chuck it on, yes. Bring my own speak. And as you can sort of see, it's cutting into the pasta dough itself, so
Right.
you don't need a knife at all.
Right.
And it gives it lovely, pretty edges.
Fantastic. Now, once we've made this, do we need to freeze it?
Yes, you do, because it makes it a lot easier to handle and sort of portion out, because it doesn't cut all the way through.
Okay.
Just makes it a lot easier to freeze it, and rather than use it fresh. So we've got some that we've frozen earlier. And
How long do you need to leave it in the freezer for?
It's good if they're frozen hard,
Yeah.
because then you can crack them off easier. But if they're a bit softer, you can still break them off, and it's not too bad.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And of course, we've got a bit of a twist with this dish, because this is not about boiling; it's about frying.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
We want to try and get a nice sort of flavour to the pasta, and something different as well. You're not always having the same boiled thing. So fried it off gives it a nice taste,
Fantastic.
and yeah.
Fantastic. So, Scotto, they're out of the fryer. Now you're going to...
Yes, they've been cooking for a minute, so they've got the nice golden crispiness around the
Beautiful.
outside.
Beautiful.
All we do now is put them on a bit of paper towel to let them dry off, cool down because you don't want to burn your mouth. Season them up a little bit,
Absolutely.
and then you're ready to go into the little vincotto dipping sauce, and yeah.
Well, I think we've got Franceschino here who should taste, because he's a real Italian from Italy.
Real Italian.
Allora, Franceschino, assaggi, dimmi come sono. And then we'll better get the other chef to see whether he's done a good job. Michelle, go ahead. Bene. Funky dish.
Really nice. Good job, Scott.
And that's coming from an Italian. Bene, vai. And on that note, now Michelle, we've got to get you moving along, because you're going to be doing the next recipe, which is agnolotto.
Yes.
Fresh agnolotto with a twist. There you go.